Here is the big idea: differentiation and integration are inverses of each other. Watch this curve y equals f of x. Define f of x as the integral from a to x of f of t dt. This f of x measures the area under the curve from a to x. As x moves to the right, the shaded area grows. The rate at which this area grows is exactly f of x, the height of the curve at that point. This is the core insight of the fundamental theorem of calculus. First fundamental theorem of calculus. If f of x is defined as the integral from a to x of f of t dt, then f prime of x equals f of x. In words, the derivative of the area function is the original function. Why? Look at this graph. The blue region is f of x, the area from a to x. Now consider the fundamental theorem of calculus and properties of definite integrals. A complete visual guide from Unit 8, Integral Calculus. For Class 11, 12, and JEE aspirants. Second fundamental theorem of calculus. The definite integral from a to b of f of x dx equals f of b minus f of a, where f is any antiderivative of f. This is incredibly powerful. The shaded area under the curve from a to b can be computed simply by evaluating the antiderivative at the two endpoints and subtracting. We write this using the square bracket notation: f of x evaluated from a to b equals f of b minus f of a. This connects the abstract concept of area with the concrete tool of anti-differentiation. Let us apply the theorem. Evaluate the integral of sin x dx from 0 to pi over 2. First, watch the sine curve being traced from 0 to pi over 2 with the area shaded in blue. Now, the antiderivative of sin x is negative cosine x. Using the FTC, evaluate negative cosine x from 0 to pi over 2. That gives us negative cosine of pi over 2 minus negative cosine of 0. Cosine of pi over 2 is 0 and cosine of 0 is 1. So the result is 0 minus negative 1, which equals 1. The shaded area is exactly 1 square unit. Now let us study the key properties of definite integrals. These are essential for JEE and board exams. Property 1, reversing the limits changes the sign. Property 2, we can split the integral at any intermediate point C. Property 3, we can replace x with a plus b minus x without changing the value. Property 4 is the special case where the lower limit is 0. And property 5, for even functions the integral from negative a to a doubles, while for odd functions it becomes 0. Let us explore each one visually. Property 1, reversing the limits of integration flips the sign. Integrating from a to b gives a positive value, represented by the blue area. But integrating from b to a reverses the direction, giving the negative of that area. Think of it as walking backward on the x-axis. Property 2, interval splitting. The integral from a to b can be split at any point C between a and b. The total area from a to b equals the area from a to c plus the area from c to b. Watch, the full area splits into two colored regions at the point C marked by the dashed line. This property is extremely useful when the function has different forms in different intervals, or when dealing with absolute value functions. Property 3 is known as King's rule, and is the most important property for JEE. The integral from a to b of f of x equals the integral from a to b of f of a plus b minus x. Visually, f of a plus b minus x is the reflection of f of x about the midpoint of a and b. The blue curve is f of x, and the red curve is f of a plus b minus x. They are mirror images about the midpoint. The areas under both curves are identical. The proof uses the substitution t equals a plus b minus x. The special case with a equals 0 gives us property 4, the integral from 0 to of f of x equals the integral from 0 to of f of a minus x. Property 5 deals with even and odd functions. For an even function, where f of negative x equals f of x, the graph is symmetric about the y-axis. Look at x squared, the left and right areas are identical mirrors of each other. So the integral from negative a to a equals twice the integral from 2000 to a. For an odd function, where f of negative x equals negative f of x, like x cubed, the positive area on the right exactly cancels the negative area on the left. So the integral from negative a to a is 0. This property saves enormous computation time in JEE when you recognize the symmetry. Property 6 is the 2a property. The integral from 0 to 2 of f of x can be split using King's rule. If f of 2a minus x equals f of x, then the integral doubles. If f of 2a minus x equals negative f of x, the integral is 0. For example, consider sin squared x from 0 to pi. Since sin squared of pi minus x equals sin squared x, the function is symmetric about pi over 2. So the integral from 0 to pi equals twice the integral from 0 to pi over 2. Using the standard result, this gives us 2 times pi over 4, which equals pi over 2. Here is a classic JEE problem. Evaluate the integral from 0 to pi of x sin x over 1 plus cosine squared x dx. Step 1. Apply King's rule with a equals 0 and b equals pi. Replace x with pi minus x. Sine of pi minus x is sin x, and cosine of pi minus x is negative cosine x, so cosine squared is unchanged. Step 2. Now add the original I and the new I. The x terms become pi minus x plus x, which is just pi. So 2I equals pi times the integral of sine x over 1 plus cosine squared x. Step 3. Substitute t equals cosine x, so dt equals negative sine x dx. The limits change from 1 to negative 1. This gives pi times the integral of dt over 1 plus t squared from negative 1 to 1. That is pi times arctan evaluated from negative 1 to 1, which gives pi squared over 2. Therefore I equals pi squared over 4. Here are 5 crucial exam tips. First, King's rule solves over 60% of G-definite integral problems. Always try it first. Second, check for even or odd symmetry. It might give you 0 immediately. Third, for integrals of x times f of sine x from 0 to pi, apply property 4 to factor out pi over 2. Fourth, remember the FTC part 1 with the chain rule. If the upper limit is g of x, you must multiply by g prime of x. Fifth, the Leibniz rule handles variable limits on both sides. Keep these must-know results at your fingertips. If you found this helpful, like the video and subscribe to MAGPIEHUB for more G and board exam solutions. See you in the next one.